This is altogether a new topic. See, if you have to bring it on a lighter note, if you watch programs like Super Singer, they say you sing on a different genre. So this topic is like that. You take it up on a different genre. Remember, that's why I asked you to keep your study material by your side. Not that, because it has a lot of facts and provisions of law which we need to, uh, definitely not memorize, but you just need to take it into your head and then just give a casual reading twice or thrice and then observe and understand and just conceptually hold what it is and all that. So once you read this 2 to 3 times, overall all the provisions in this chapter, what will happen is you will get a grasp or grip of this. You will be able to for sure handle the MCQs, and any case studies you will be able to for sure handle. And my gut feeling and what I believe and what every other faculties believe. As you know, ICAI is a professional body, and in the exams, let me put it very clear, they are not keeping any memory test. They are not asking you to just vomit whatever is there in the law or in the study material. So for sure, they are not going to ask you questions like reproduce whatever. Why ma'am is giving such hype and background before we take this subject, because this particular topic is like that. Okay. Yeah. So that is the approach. I have tried to simplify it to the maximum, which is easy for the students, and give it to you in a very, very capsule format. Okay. So let's start now with this introduction. So what is the topic? Acceptance of deposits by companies. Okay, and incidentally, you also have the rules, the company's acceptance of deposits rules 2014. Okay. Now I have classified this into 5 segments for ease of handling and understanding. Okay, if you do it that way, it becomes very, very simple. Okay, right. Of course, you have statistics notes. This is 230, 2 class 31. Okay, right. So I already told you all the definitions are there in section 2 in not only Companies Act, in any other act for that matter. And in Companies Act, the definitions are very, very alphabetically arranged. So it's all arranged in alphabetical order. And I told you this is a section number, and each clause is different here because each one contains a different definition, independent. Okay. If it is subsections, it is parts of the same section. Clauses, they are independent by themselves. So that's the difference. And I think by now you would have also learned interpretation of statutes and rules for that. Okay, right. So just make a note of this chart. We'll quickly jump into the definition of deposits. And keep your study materials, hard copy or soft copy, ready by your side for you to go through. Okay. So this is how we are going to, you know, understand this topic. What is deposits and what is not deposits? So what is the definition? Then how about accepting deposits from the members, from public, and how to repay? What about provisions point? What about penalties for contravention? If you take down this chart, we can go to the definition. So I hope you're all done with the chart. So now let's take 2 clock 31 and see the definition of deposits. Okay. Beautiful definition. It is an inclusive definition. Okay, so as you know, definitions are of two types: inclusive and exhaustive. Inclusive means it covers the whole. Exhaustive means that is the maximum boundary. Inclusive means so whatever normally we understand as deposit and what all it could include. So it is a wider. It is a wider term. Now look at this. Any receipt of money by way of deposit. Any receipt of money by way of deposit or by loan or by any other form by a company. So law is very clear. Whatever name it be, if you get money from somebody, let me cover it here. So it's very, very wide and broad. Any receipt of money by way of deposit, by way of loan, or by any other form received by the company. So if the company is going to receive any money from anybody, it will cover in this definition. So it appears as though it's so wide. So, but then too much, no? Any money received by the company, any loan, any other form. So if shareholder is putting share capital, that also will become deposits. Debenture holders will become deposits. So can't be, yeah. So we have to put some restrictions. So it says it does not include such categories which is prescribed in consultation with RBI. Great. So deposit, I said, is very, very wider. It includes any receipt of money by any name, whether it's deposit or loan or any other form. and it does not include such categories that is prescribed and how MCA prescribes it in consultation with RBI. So the catch is there, which means first ஒரு bigger wider definition கொண்டு வந்தாச்சு. It is very very wide. Any money received, deposit or loan or any form. But now we have to put the restrictions. See friends, before getting into this, I will tell you the logic and background. So what is the logic and what is the background? So simple. See, if you look at, I put the chart, right? If you look at the further provisions, accepting from members, accepting from public, you have so many stringent provisions for deposits as to what's the time period and all that. I mean, how to issue and all that. So we are very, very critically monitoring deposits. That's why initially they made it very broad. You will understand by the end of this chapter how it is, designed. Okay, fine. So now what we should do is we should quickly go and read this negative list. So there's a positive list, very wide, any receipt of money, any money, and we have to go to the negative list. So amounts not considered as deposit. For this purpose only, I want you to take the study material. In my edition, it is 5.3 page. I'm not sure about your edition. Probably you might have an updated hard copy edition or soft copy. Doesn't matter. If you open deposits chapter, amounts not considered as deposit. What are okay. So the topic that we are taking up is amounts not considered as deposit. Great. Now keep a pencil with you, and as I read through, you can just underline the significant points. Okay? Ready? Yes. So first round of reading I will do. I will take you through that list. The following categories of amounts are not considered as deposits. Amount received from central government or state government or from any other source where the repayment is guaranteed by the central or the state government, or money received from local authority or any amount from statutory authority constituted under the act of the parliament or state legislature. So what is the entry one? Basically, any amount that the company is receiving from any government, okay, within India, any governmental authority within India. Okay, right. So first we will do a quick reading, then I will explain. Don't worry. The second one, amount received from foreign governments or foreign or international banks, multilateral financial institutions, etc., subject to the provisions of FEMA. Okay. Third one, third entry, very very simple. Amount received from banking company or State Bank of India or from any banking institution or cooperative bank. Okay. Fourth one, public financial institution. Okay. Fifth one, commercial paper. Commercial paper or other instruments in accordance with RBI guidelines. Okay. The next one, amount received from any other company. Seventh one, okay, share application money. Seventh one, what is that? Share application money, which is utilized towards allotment of securities. Today I'm skipping all the other things, going to point 8. Amount received from any person who was at the time of receipt a director or a relative of the director, and provided next paragraph declaration amount is not out of funds acquired by way of borrowing or accepting loans or deposits, and the company shall disclose the details of such money in the board's report. Okay, then next one, Amount raised by issue of secured debentures, which has having a first charge or a pari passu charge. What is that? I will explain. Don't worry. And convertible debentures within 10 years. Okay, right? Then the next one, debentures subpart, non-convertible debentures not constituting a charge on the assets and listed on a recognized stock exchange. Okay, the next entry, deposit received from an employee not exceeding his annual salary as per the contract of employment, and it is non-interest bearing and in the nature of a security deposit. The next one, any non-interest bearing amount held, amount received which is held in trust. Next entry, any amount received in the course of business which is an advance for supply of goods or services appropriated against the same. Next one, consideration for an immovable property. So as I read, you can underline those words. Security deposit for performance of contract or supply of services, advance received from long-term projects or supply of capital goods, advance towards providing future services, advances received and allowed by sectoral regulator. In the material also, some key points are already highlighted. Advance for subscription towards publication, amount received by promoters, amount brought in by promoters, and you have some conditions so that it is in the form of unsecured loan and all that. Okay, we will move on. Amount received by Nidhi company, amount received in the name of subscription by chit under the Chit Fund Act, and collective investment schemes like your mutual funds. And the next one is a startup company which receives an amount by a convertible note. And the next entry, alternative investment funds. Okay, right. Okay, so I have taken you through this list. Now, just tell me if you understood or made out anything out of the list that we had a quick walkthrough. Okay. Somebody is asking me, Madam, you have not discussed issue of GDR and ADR, which is not discussed in chapter 4. My dear Alex, as you know, Institute has issued a clarification sometime back in beginning of 2020 or so that certain portions of the study material are removed if you're using the older version. GDR is removed, not applicable for your exams. It is there in the Companies Act. Concept is not removed, don't worry. It's not there in the inter syllabus. It's removed, okay? That's why I've not covered. If you have any doubts, you can go back and browse through ICA website and understand that it has been removed, okay? 5.3 here, okay. Now, tell me friends, of this quick walkthrough, could you make out anything? I doubt if you could make out anything. So, shall we get into the details? So, if you read from the study material, it will be like this. So, that's why I told you, teaching acceptance of deposits is like it's like a different genre. It's like a different genre of experience. And for you to read also, how you have to smartly sail through this chapter, that's where I'm going to help you as a teacher, as a faculty member, right? So some kind of guidance where you can quickly, sail through smoothly of this chapter. See, this chapter, if you read independently, I hear from students that it is boring, it is lengthy, so much is testing their patience and all that. But it's actually not like that when you have a comfortable guide to make you this sail smooth. Okay. So coming back to the same 5.3 and coming back to the same 5.3 and starting. See, first point. If you receive any money, if the company receives, when I say you should imagine yourself as a company. Okay, I said visualization moved on for the law class. Any money received by the company from the government, whether it is center, state, or local authority, or set up under the statutory act of the parliament, or your loan is guaranteed by the government, that is not deposits. So, Go to 2 clause 31. Definition is so wide. It says any amount, any money received. Government gives you loan to the company, then that is not deposit. Why? Yeah, I don't have to regulate them with the deposits chapter. See, I told you pillars of corporate governance, investor and creditor protection. Somebody is putting what is deposits. First, let's understand that. You all know fixed deposit. Your parents or you of your own articleship stipend or anything that you have earned or savings, you will go and deposit in a bank. Yes, it is called as a fixed deposit. You have some surplus money and you are keeping it there, and in turn you get some interest. Okay, your money is not idle. So you understand the time value of money and multiply it. At least it will match with the inflation and it will keep growing. It will not deplete. If you keep the money at your home, what will happen? Money will not grow. Maybe demonetization will happen suddenly on a day, and you knew what happened. Okay, so like this, you can park your surplus in a company also. See, practically, many of you would have seen, especially TV ads itself, you could have seen this company, Shriram Group. It's advertising deposits, inviting deposits from the public. So, Shriram may even be a banking of the Shriram Group. Banking company might invite, but the deposits that we are talking about is not necessarily about a banking company. Even if it's a non-banking company, for example, I've done audit of a company, Shriram STFC, okay, Shriram Transport. Now, what will happen? That company is also accepting deposits, okay. So, any company, any trading company, manufacturing company, mining company, any company can accept deposits from the public. Public is willing to put their savings in that company and earn interest, like how you do it in a normal bank. Why? Public wants to earn interest, they are putting it, and company is willing to accept and keep that money. They will business now use it for circulation. See, businessmen always need money for rotation. Okay. Now, certain amounts that the company is receiving, although 231 is so wide, we want to eliminate it from the definition of deposits. Why? Because, see, for example, if you take this governmental loan, if you take money from the government, terms and conditions are very clear as given by the government itself. So you don't have to come to Companies Act in this chapter. Okay, like that. So there are separate provisions. Whatever there are separate provisions already to regulate that we are taking it off from here. Only the balance which is unregulated, we are bringing it here to regulate it. How to regulate it? I'll tell you very simple. There is a ceiling limit. Company can maximum only take this much deposits in a year, and there is a time limit for only. See, deposits are generally short term. See, bank FD if you put generally it'll be for 1 year, 2 years. That's all maximum. It'll be short term and liquid assets like this. Okay, so the first entry is what you need to remember is any money received from the government, center, state, whatever. And next one is from the first one was Indian government. The second one is from any foreign government or foreign banks or multinational or international multilateral financial institutions. What are multilateral? They have presence globally. International banks and all that. So those are regulated already by the FEMA. No need to regulate here. FEMA, you have what is FEMA? Foreign Exchange Management Act. You have it in the finance syllabus. So absolutely no worries. Want to know FEMA? Wait till final. So you have current account transactions and capital account transactions wherein you need one-to-one approval and all that you will study. Okay. So whether it is from Indian or foreign government or banks, then the next entry, the third entry, any banking company or State Bank of India or notified banking institution or cooperative bank. So basically, if you get from any banks, so those are bank loans. Generally, bank loans will be long term and they have twofold conditions: terms with the banks and RBI regulation. So RBI is uh, well regulating those things. So Companies Act need not get into that area. Next one, public financial institution such as IDBI and all that. So no problem, again already regulated under the respective legislations they were set up. Okay, the next one, commercial paper. What is commercial paper? Commercial papers are basically IOU documents. So any bank or any body corporate can issue commercial papers, and they can borrow money. And these commercial papers are again subject to RBI guidelines. What is RBI? Reserve Bank of India guidelines. So very simple. You get a loan from somebody. Okay. What is that? You owe money to them. You have to repay them. So against you receive money and you give them in writing in a piece of paper. I owe you so and so money, and with all the terms, I have to repay with this interest at the period and all that. So basically, any instruments or commercial paper issued in accordance with RBI guidelines. So that Companies Act need not worry about. RBI guidelines will take care. And the next one, amount received by a company from any other company. This is called as intercorporate deposits. One company depositing their money in other company called as intercorporate deposits. It's excluded here. Why, ma'am? Section separately dealt in Companies Act itself. So you will study that in final. Okay. Separate provisions for that. So 6 entries we have seen. If I have been fast, if you feel very, very simple. Money from governments, okay, or security loan secured by governments, Indian or foreign, then banks, Indian or foreign, state bank, cooperative bank, nationalist bank, any bank for that matter, public financial institutions, commercial papers, all these are separately regulated, so not covered under deposits. Then go to the 7th entry. Amount received as subscription to any securities or share application money which will be used for allotment of securities. Friends, you're all well versed in preparing a balance sheet, and I know that for sure. So, what a company receives share application money, where it will disclose in its balance sheet, it has to keep it in head separately in the balance sheet. Will you take it to share capital? No. Will you take it to reserves? Definitely no. So, it is midway between these two, and it's kept separately. What is the purpose we studied in share capital chapter? Within 60 days, you have to make allotment of securities. Otherwise, refund the money within 15 days from the date of completion of 60 days. Remember, we studied all these things. Okay, if you don't do that, then only it will be treated as deposits. So, normally, share application money, which is to be used for share allotment, is not treated as deposits. But the condition is within 60 days, you have to allot the securities. If not, within 15 days from the 61st day, you have to refund it. If you don't refund it and you just keep it, see, earlier, uh, you know, deposits, so many stringent conditions are there. So what they used to do was, in the pretext of share application money, they will take money in the form of deposits and escape saying with not at all possible now, because provisions are very clear. In 60 days you are allot, or else within 50 days from the 61st days, 15 days from the 61st day, you have to refund. Otherwise, we will treat it as deposits and catch you. All the provisions will be applicable. Okay, clear? The next paragraph, one big passage about 2014-15 is there. Happily ignore it because it is transition provision, not relevant now. Okay, what transition provision? When 2014 this rule came, so you can chuck it. Okay, and they have made it very clear. If you've used this money, we've already studied it is only used towards allotment of securities. And if you adjust it for other purposes, then that will not be treated as refund. What is the impact? It will be caught as deposits. Okay? It will be taken as deposits. So we've finished one part now out of the 20, close to 20 entries. First 7 entries we have finished. First, let me take a pause and get your consent. Are you all able to make out whatever I'm saying? Are you underlining the key points? Shravan has asked me, you're making notes. That's great, Sharan. Shravan Srinivas has asked me how intercorporate deposits will not be included because it is carved out from this rules and you have a separate set of provisions for dealing intercorporate deposits. I told you that you will study in final syllabus. Clear? Shravan Srinivas? Okay. Making notes, Sharon, very good. Lingeshwaran, Apurva, all of them have written to me. They are able to make out. Others respond here. Are you all able to follow whatever I'm saying? Are you in pace with my discussion? Okay. And I know there will be some heat going on in your mind. So I will reduce the heat and throw some light. Meaning, ma'am, all these entries now we are happily reading from the book. So what will I do for the exam and how will I remember this big list of 2024 items, whatever? You don't have to memorize. I'm sure Institute is not going to ask a description question. List the amounts that are not deposits. Definitely not. I'm sure they will not. So that's the quality of our professional examination. But what you have to do is you should go through and understand these 2-3 times, and then automatically you will remember, and they will test you in the form of MCQs and case studies. Okay. First case, even if it is listed out, they will not ask you to introduce this 24 list, maybe some 10 items. And of late these days, they are not at all asking, they're mostly asking application oriented questions. So don't worry about that. First case also, list out 10, you can easily list out. Very, very happy. Simple items you can list out. So, let me take a pause. Let us just, what are the items? From central, from governments, from banks, from foreign banks, foreign governments, or if it is a share application money, but conditions are there. What conditions? Either it should be used for allotment of securities or refund. If not, or used for other purpose, then we will catch you and treat it as deposits. That is the crux. Okay? And then intercorporate deposits dealt separately in separate section under Companies Act. So then commercial paper not covered here or other such instruments, why? Comes under RBI guidelines. Public financial institutions if you get money. So that is also excluded. Shall we move on? Okay. So can I get a yes? Okay. 8th entry. So and worst case, I'm just trying to take off the heat and throw light to the maximum extent possible. Okay. Now 8th entry. This is very interesting. You cannot read it so casually. Read it very carefully. At the time of receipt of amount, money was received from a director or a relative of the director of the private company. So relative comes for a private company. Okay. Separated director of the company or relative of director of the private company. And however, the director or relative of director of the private company is required to give some declaration. What is that? Amount is not being given out of funds acquired by borrowing or accepting loans or deposits from others. And the company will disclose it in the board's report. Aha, understood? Let's see. Last point I'm writing here. All of you, I'm sure, would have seen balance sheets, real-time balance sheets by now of various companies. In fact, many of you would have already audited, and almost just that sign will be made by your auditor or a principal or partner, whatever be the case. But you were the person who were end-to-end responsible for all these things. Okay, so just crux is this: you should have received money from a director of a company or relative of director in case of a private company, even from the relative of the director. At the time of receipt, when he gives money, he was holding position as director. And this person, director or relative who gives money to the company, should give a declaration that his source of funds for the director, source of funds, was not out of some other borrowing or some other deposits or loans, okay, that he took. The director is giving money to the company. How did the director get the money? He did not get the money from deposits by way of deposits or loans. Okay, which means what will happen indirectly? It will become deposits. See, just to avoid the provision of deposits, instead of a third party giving money to the company because it will become deposits, I will give to the director and let the director give so that we can come out of these provisions. Nothing doing. Understood? Huh? So that's the purpose. And company should disclose. We are taking it off from deposits, but disclosure has to be made in the board's report. Why I told financials? After the balance sheet and financials, you will have two things. What is that? One is board's report, another one is our report, auditor's report. Okay? So make a note of this point, director point. Understood all of you, director point? Can I get your response, please? Once more explain. Okay. I know. That's why I asked. Because for some people, it might have been fast. Law says money is given by the director to the company. It is not deposits. Okay. But subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. At the time of giving the money, he should have been director. It is either director or his relative, but relative is applicable only in case of a private company. And while giving money, he has to give a declaration. For the director, the source of money was not any borrowings or loan or deposits from another person. See, what will happen? There is a third party, there is a director, there is the company. Law says director giving money to the company, yeah, not deposits. Okay. So, in order to find a loophole, what people might do, third party, if they give money to the company, it will become deposits. So, what third party can plan? Once they receive, I will give to the director. Let the director give to the company. Then what will happen? Loophole is created. Clear? So that law says, hey director, when you give money to the company, you tell me, give a declaration that for you the source of funds is not from a third party borrowing or deposit or loan. Clear? It is not treated as deposit, but company has a duty to make that disclosure. See, I have got so much money from the director. Okay, and where? Of course, in the board of directors report. Clear, Sharon? Okay, great. Sharon is understood. Relative definition is already defined under Companies Act. Okay. It's defined in section 2. You can go and read. Right. So we are moving on. Next, we are taking up the next point, debentures. Okay. Shall we? Okay, so we're moving on to the next point. What all debentures are excluded? First, let's have a quick reading. So which point I'm reading? Point number 9. Amount raised by issue of bonds or debentures just secured, and that also not secured as such by a first charge or a charge ranking pari passu with the first charge on any assets referred to in Schedule 3 of the Act, excluding intangible assets, and bonds or debentures compulsorily convertible into shares of the company within 10 years. Okay. However, if such bonds secured by charge of any assets referred to in Schedule 3 excluding blah blah intangible amount shall not exceed the market value of such assets as assessed by a registered valuer. Okay, so some big paragraph, but nothing great, yeah. Okay, so what is this? First, let us very simply understand secured debentures, convertible debentures are not covered as deposits. So, if you issue secured debentures and collect money from public, they will not be treated under the covered under the definition deposits. And if you issue convertible debentures, that will not be treated as deposits. But some conditions are there. Secured debentures means what? Those debentures that have a charge on the assets of the company. Yesterday I told you very clearly. What is that? Charge, having charge means for backup. See, basically somebody is giving money to the company. Company is getting third parties money. Debentures are debt instruments, so we have borrowed money. So for his strength, what we can do is company can do is give their assets as security or collateral. So when we do this, when we issue the assets as security, this process is called as we are creating a charge on the assets. I told you. So if you fail to repay, they will sell the asset, realize the money, and pay the debenture holders. Correct? Simple. No. அது என்ன first charge, second charge and all that. See, next chapter, charge, I will teach you what is that. But just understand, first charge means those people having first charge will have first priority. Suppose the assets are sold and you get say 5 lakhs money. First you have to pay to those people who have the first charge on the assets. Then to the second charge holders. Say, first charge. What is this pari passu with first charge? Pari passu is a Latin term used in many legal contexts. It means simply means on an equal footing. Pari passu is a Latin term which means on an equal footing. Okay. What is this? You already have created a first charge on the asset. You have given that asset as a security for some other loan. Okay. But this debenture that you have issued also, you've made it at par equally with that first charge. As good as you are also having first charge. You've joined them also to that first charge. But if you still don't understand first charge, please leave it because next chapter again I have to explain you. Okay, so no worries. So I think the concept is very simple. Yeah, you're keeping the asset as security. That's called as charge creation. And you, whenever anything happens, failure to repay, no, you will sell the asset. Very common thing all of us know, no, how banks operate. So they will sell the asset, realize the money, and they will take their loans, get back their loans. So, but whom they will pay first? First charge holders they will pay first. Okay, subsequent charges and all later. Order of priority in payment. Say, so this is the condition for secured debentures to be exempted from deposits. Secured debentures having first charge or pari passu with first charge. Okay. Now, what kind of assets? All your Schedule 3 to the Companies Act, all the assets, excluding intangible assets. Excluding intangible assets. Okay, right. Now, because, which means you cannot create a charge on intangible assets. All that and all happened here. Creating charge on the intangible asset happened in the case of Kingfisher, and we know the later part how that company is sunk and what is happening to our hero Vijay Mallya and all that. Okay, now amount of bonds or debentures which sorry, next one is convertible debentures. What is the condition? First, what is convertible debentures? That are convertible into shares and within a period of maximum of 10 years. Within 10 years, okay, if you have issued convertible debentures, it's not deposits. Provided within 10 years, of course, not more than that you can issue redemption and not redemption, I'm sorry, conversion, sorry. So within 10 years, right? So this will not be. So you might have a doubt. Appo in the conditions alla satisfy agalena deposits are definitely deposits. Yes. Appo deposits ana என்னெல்லாம் provisions whatever we are going to study in this chapter will be applicable to them. Okay. Right. And one more aspect is the moment I say I will create a charge on the assets, to what extent? Only to the extent of market value of the assets, and your debenture value cannot be greater than the market value of the assets. Quite obviously, no. So equal amount you have to create a charge. And who will give you the market value of the assets? There is a person for this, registered valuer. Who is a registered valuer? Today, that's one of the career options for a CA in practice. Earlier, just like that, all CAs can sign, but now it is not like that. Valuation, there is a separate course. You have to pass that exam and enroll and register yourself. Many CAs have done that. So you have to become a registered valuer, and then you can value the assets. So financial assets, we are competent. Of course, there are other assets, and there will be other valuers who will be competent. Okay. Then one more category we will finish in debentures. Go to the next entry 9A. Non-convertible debentures not constituting a charge on the assets and listed on a recognized stock exchange. Non-convertible, no charge, and listed. NCD is non-convertible debentures and RSC, as you all already know, recognized stock exchange, and we have only two now, NSE and BSE. So it should be a non-convertible plus you have not unsecured, you have not created any charge, and it is listed. It is not only not convertible, it is also not constituting a charge, and it is listed, okay, on a recognized stock exchange. So these conditions are given. If these conditions are satisfied, this will not be getting qualified as deposits. Otherwise, other kind of debentures should qualify as deposits. Take a pause now. Tell me if you understood. So, how do you know all these things? You just give, I told you already. Casually read this couple of times, you will automatically, it will strike you. So, debentures are generally out of deposits because you have separate a set of rules and provisions for debentures. But some conditions are here. Secured, it should have first charge or pari passu charge. See, if you have a first charge or pari passu with first charge, you are well protected already. So no need to come under deposits and face further stringent conditions. See, for deposits, you have very stringent conditions, more restrictive than debentures. Convertible, and if you're going to convert it within 10 years, then okay, you're safe. No problem. Don't come under deposits. You're non-convertible, but you are listed, and you've not created any charge, but still you're listed on a recognized stock exchange. So you would have been subject to SEBI guidelines, and there you would have been screwed and screwed and grilled. Okay, there you would have been screwed and grilled already by the SEBI, because you cannot list a security so easily. You have to cross all the conditions imposed by SEBI. And again, I'm reducing the heat and throwing light. You can be happy because you can just write SEBI regulations as of now. So final, you can enjoy, and you can see the good, or if you feel the bad face of the SEBI guidelines and SEBI regulations. Okay. Right. Somebody is asking me a question. Shares and debentures are restricted in deposits. I don't understand your question, first of all. I'm saying these kinds of debentures are not covered under deposits. So make it clear, don't get confused. Are you all clear with what I'm saying? All of you? Can I get your response? You'll be clueless if you just don't give your response whether you understand or not. Okay, Hema has responded that she's able to make out. Others, please. Okay. I have got response from many that they have understood this concept. Great. So coming back, I've seen so many entries. So please make a note of it if you've not. So government funds, loan funds, then commercial papers, share application money, certain specified debentures, secured and having first charge or 5% charge, and then convertible within 10 years, non-convertible and not secured but listed, all these things. Amount from director or his relative in case of a private company, subject to the declaration condition and disclosure condition, they are not recorded as deposits. Okay, moving on to the next 10th entry. Right. Entry 10. See, if you're in pace with me, I'm pretty much sure that I'm not rushing and you will be able to by now make to a greater extent whether something is deposits or not. So negative list, we are taking it in such great details only. 10th entry. Many times, some caution deposit is made by employees of a company, especially those who are holding key position because position of trust. So they have to make some caution deposit or employee deposit. Okay. So the condition is so many companies ask this. If you have to join their employment as the terms of contract, you have to keep a caution deposit for their own safety purposes, especially key roles, so that you know you're not somebody who is cheating or escaping or taking away the funds in the company and all that. But it should be part of the employment contract, not greater than his annual salary, and it is in the nature of non-interest bearing. So you don't pay any. It's just a refundable deposit, and company doesn't pay any interest for all these things. Just in the name of a security deposit. That's all. Okay, right. So the security deposit is a very simple concept. If somebody is letting his house, you generally ask them no security deposit, and whenever they vacate the house, you will repay them. Same concept. Okay. Next one is next entry. Any non-interest bearing amount received or held in trust. So basically, you are like a bailee. Meaning what? it is a deposit that you are holding in trust, and you will repay. What is this? See, I will give a simple example. Company has a bank account. Some wrong credit in your bank account. It happens so many times. We wonder who credited us this money, and then bank calls you up and then gives an apology and then say wrongly credited. Happens. So by carelessness or negligence or some online transactions, some error, network issues happens. So whenever you are getting such monies, you have to just repay it because it's not your money. You're holding it in the trust as a beneficiary. You're holding in trust, and you're not going to pay back with interest. So it's not your mistake. So wrong credit in the company's bank account is one example that I can think through. So that is the next entry. So if you're done, let's go to the 12th entry. It has so many subparts, but very, very simple. Shall we proceed? Okay. Now, Neelavan is asking me a question about the converse. What is that converse? Ma'am, you say non-convertible unsecured debenture, which is listed as not a deposit, which means the converse, opposite, non-convertible debenture, which is unlisted. It's a deposit, dane. Am I right? That's what his question. Yes, you are right. Whatever is there in the negative list is only in the negative list. So anything that is not fitting into the negative list automatically will be treated as deposits. Now you might wonder what's the logic. Just think, no? Think about this position. It's a non-convertible debenture. So there is a risk of repayment. You have to redeem it. You cannot convert it into shares. Okay. It doesn't have any security also. That way also payment is under risk. It is unlisted, which means it is not grilled and screwed by SEBI. So it is let loose so much. So there might be an element of risk that you take money in the form of non-convertible, unsecured and unlisted debentures. And what if the company runs away or misuses, loses it? So we will grill you, screw you here under the deposits provision. You know what? I'm going to tell you in the further segments. Maximum more than 36 months, you cannot keep a money as deposit with the company. All these we are going to learn shortly in today's class. And there is no deposits which is repayable on demand that you cannot accept. And a company cannot accept deposits from public if it is a private company. Only for public company that is possible. And there is a ceiling so and so percentage of paid up capital and free reserves and security premium only you can accept deposits. You cannot accept 100% of your capital equal money as deposits. So many conditions, Neelavan, and any risky issue of securities to the public, we want to trap it under, bring it under these deposits procedure. Are you able to make out now? So don't worry about whatever I told you so fast. I'm going to teach you all that slowly. I'm just broadly telling you for you to, appreciate why something is included, something is excluded, done with a purpose. First, you understand and believe that. Then you yourself try and think what is the purpose. You will get the answer quite obviously. Okay. அதனாலதான் you have to remember the negative list properly, which is not considered as deposits. Don't sit and memorize, yeah. It'll be horrible. It'll be very funny at a professional level. Don't do all these things. Just read it 5, 10 times and then understand why this is included, why that's not included. Chuma, just question yourself. You will automatically remember. I assure you. Or if you read that, you will automatically, if you read the case study or MCQ, a spark will be there in your mind. And you can answer. Just take my words and believe it. ஸோ எம்சிக்யூ கேஸ் ஸ்டடி வரும்போது இந்த மாதிரி ஒன்று படிச்சிருக்கோமே நான் கன்வெர்ட்டபிள் நான் செக்யூர்டாக இருந்தால் கூட லிஸ்டடாக இருந்தால் டெபாசிட் வராது வராது ஸோ that way you can come out with answers. சரி, go to the 13th entry now. I'm using a little bit of Tamil today, but I don't know how many of you are not comfortable and do not know Tamil. Anyway, translation parallel is happening only. So I think it's not an issue. Whenever I say anything in Tamil, I say it twice, once in Tamil, once in English. Like that public notice advertisement. One in English, one in vernacular language. I'm giving concepts like public notice. Thirteenth entry. Too much heat on 13th entry. This negative list we will finish and take a break. Yeah. Actually, so much of concepts after this. No, I put the chart 5 items. All that 5 we have to. We have not crossed the meaning of deposits yet. Only if we finish the negative list. So if we couldn't finish deposits chapter, we have to drag it to tomorrow. That's the takeaway end of it. Let's see. We're not wasting time. We're trying to rush, but at the same time, I ensure the concepts are there in your mind. Entry 12. All the below are not deposits. Why? If you just receive advance for supply of goods and services, don't tell they are deposits and don't torture the company. Okay? And you can receive any consideration for immovable property. But of course, you have conditions. What is the conditions? Such advance is appropriated against the actual supply within a period of 365 days. So whenever we are giving genuine relaxations, Companies Act is very clear. Use it genuinely for the relaxations. Don't try to bluff us or cheat us. And see if you can find the loophole. We will plug the loophole. How? You say you receive advance for supply of goods and services and you want to keep it lifelong or 10 years. Too much, no? How long you will keep an advance? Maximum 365 days. Adjust it, otherwise refund. Okay? Otherwise, we will catch you and then say it is deposits. Then consideration for immovable property if you receive. Again, provided advance is adjusted in terms of the agreement. Then security deposits for provision of somebody is you are collecting security deposit from other persons because he is going to for performance of supply contract of supply of goods or services. Happens, no, see, we are going to buy something, you're booking a catering contractor. What we will generally do, we will give him some advance, otherwise he will not work. He needs money for rotation, for working capital. Okay. When long-term projects, generally advance is given for supply of capital goods. They are very expensive. You need money. In terms of long-term projects, that happens. Then advance towards future services in the form of warranty, maintenance, contract, and all that. The period for providing does not exceed the period prevalent as per common business practice or 5 years, whichever is less. So, what is that? Future services, warranty, maintenance. You get into a warranty contract, maintenance contract for your factory for 10 extra 10 years. Law says common terms and common business practice. For how many years you can keep it? Standard business practice of 5 years, whichever is less, not more than 5 years at any cost. Correct? Yeah, generally, maintenance contract 1 or 2 years in advance you will have and you will get advance. That's all. No? Then advance received and allowed by sectoral regulator or in accordance with the directions of the central government. What is this? You received advance and is allowed as per your sectoral regulator. Telecom companies, who's the sectoral regulator? TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. See, these kind of businesses generally have huge advances. Yeah, very big capital expenditure is there. They have to lay the network and all that. So they will get advance. See, these are basically advances in the course of business, not advances treated as deposits. Very, very simple full logic. Don't confuse them as deposits. They are advances happening in the course of business for supply of goods, services, long-term projects, capital goods, maintenance contracts, and sectoral regulator. But conditions you have to remember. Goods and services adjust to be adjusted within 365 days, and the maintenance or warranty future services a maximum of 5 years or agreement whichever is lesser or business practice whichever is lesser. Subscription towards publication. So if you are a company printing press and all that. See for example, I want a kids magazine for my kid. What I do, I pay an advance subscription for the entire year. I pay say 2,000 rupees. So you want the CA journal, you pay entire year. You pay say 2,000 rupees. That is not advance. I mean that is not deposits. Not deposit for some service that you get the money in advance. Correct? Okay. Now we have a clarification here. Let's read the clarification. The amount received under items A, B, D above becomes refundable due to the reasons that the company accepting does not have necessary permission or approval wherever required to deal in the goods or properties or services for which the money is taken. Then the amount received shall be deemed to be a deposit under the rules. So let me read it once again. Amount received under A, B, D above. What is this A, B, D? We just now studied. For supply of goods and services, consideration for immovable property, security deposit, then long-term project supply of capital goods. Great. இப்போ என்ன பண்ணணும்? The company accepting the money does not get the necessary permission or approval wherever required to deal in the goods or properties or services for which you've taken advance. Then that money received shall be deemed to be a deposit. Further, it's clarified that the amount shall be deemed on the expiry of 15 days from the date they become due for refund. See, I've observed one thing in Companies Act. If it is your money, you keep it with you and use it for the right purpose. If the moment you become that it's not your money, you return to the owner within 15 days. Otherwise, the impact will be serious. What are we saying? See, let me give an example. Imagine a company wants to start a business. For this purpose, from its customer, it's getting an advance of say 10 lakhs. In the meanwhile, it is working for, see, prospectus we studied. If any risk is there, you have to highlight it. I told you this example also, I think I will remember. So whenever prospectus, whenever you're putting your marriage profile, any potential risk you have to highlight to the future spouse. What potential risk? Your sister, brother is there, not is not married, especially elder, or somebody is sick at home, seriously ill, and it might cause a trouble to other persons. So you have to sufficiently caveat it like that. Prospectus also any risk, your pending approvals. For some business, you need some approvals from authorities. For example, if you have to carry on mining business, you have to. There is a separate ministry for that. Ministry of Renewable Energy is there. Mining is there. So those ministries you have to get approvals. So I worked in a particular client called Regen Energy Private Limited. Those sectors and all, they have uh, they have to take approvals. Renewable energy, they have to take up that ministry approval, and for every project they have to take, or for every period they have to take something like this. So you thought you've applied for the approval and you took advance from the customer. If you don't get that approval, law says within 15 days you repay them the money. Moment when you approval not got. Whatever, approval or permission, whatever for that matter. And you repay it within the 15 days. Otherwise, we will catch you and treat this money as deposits. So, idea is very simple. Don't use these as loopholes and avoid the provision of deposits and get money. Genuinely use these relaxations I have given. And seriously, you couldn't use it because you don't have good approval. No problem. Return it within 15 days. Otherwise, I will deem it as deposits. Questions will be applicable. Okay. So it's 3:30. We have some more entries. Very few. Shall we finish it and go for the break? Let me skip this 13th point. Small points will quickly finish. Then we'll come back. Nidhi Company, Kumbakonam Mutual Benefit Fund is a Nidhi Company under section 406. 406 is a separate section by itself and you have all the regulations and underlying rules there. So we are not torturing you here. You just get suffered there only. Okay. Then Chit Fund Act 1982. Small savings schemes. Chit fund is there. There it is governed. We don't torture you here. Run away. Collective investment schemes. Best example, mutual funds. No problem. There are separate acts and separate provisions. There all you get suffered. SEBI is there to catch you. So we will leave you here. Okay? Right. Then now we will come to the 13th entry. What is that entry? You should be in pace with me, otherwise we will lose track. I hope you're all. Is it so? I hope. And I hope and I believe because it's horrible if you ask me to repeat everything because I don't have time. The problem is time. Okay. Let's see this entry. Promoters. When see directors, we already said that they gave money. It is not deposits. Look at the case of a promoter. What he does, amount brought in by the promoter by way of unsecured loan. Very risky thing. Promoter is giving unsecured loan to the company in pursuance, but generally, when it will happen in pursuance of stipulation of any lending financial institution or bank subject to the following conditions. The loan is brought because of the stipulation imposed by the lending financial institution. Loan is provided by the promoters themselves or by relatives or by both. An exemption be available only till the loans of financial institution or bank which are repaid and not thereafter. This is generally my reading speed. Actually, I've reduced it for your sake. I know it might be quite high for you speed, but you will get it in due course if you have not got it so far. Or yours might be higher than me also. I don't know. Let's see. So don't worry, I will summarize what it is. See, some company, when they go for a loan, the lending institution or banks, they will have some conditions. Hey, let the owners of the business, let the promoters also bring in some money, yeah? Okay. Let it be an unsecured loan. Let them first give money to the company. Okay. And let their money be inside the business. And they have to keep the money inside the business. First they have to settle these loans and then only they have to repay the promoters. Why? For the security of the banks or financial institutions. I already told you a story, I think, while discussing CRR. In Tamil, I'm sorry to use this, but a very funny proverb. So, I think, I don't know, it'll be like somebody, a ney of some third party, and when you pour it with your kai, you will pour as much as you want. The same logic. Somebody else's funds and you want to run business, you can ill manage to the maximum extent. Nothing doing. So, that's the duster. Just a minute. Okay, so in corporate world also nothing doing. You can it not be like somebody else's money and you're happily ill managing or let it deplete. No, nothing doing. So bank wants to give loan to the company. It is ready to give, but with a condition. What condition? First, let your promoter give you loan. Okay. Then I will also give loan. And who can give this? Promoters or relatives or both? Seri. And such exemption shall be available only till the loans of the financial institution or bank are repaid. Now, law says this money given by promoter to the company not treated as deposits until this loan is repaid. Happily, after the loan is repaid, also you still keep the money. For lifelong, you keep the money of the promoter. Then we will catch you and we will treat it as deposits moment this loan is discharged. Hey, the condition will be like this here. First you repay my loan, then you have to pay back to the promoter. Because if owner's money is withdrawn, I have a risk, I have a doubt. You might ill-manage the business and put Namam for me. Okay? Nothing doing. So that's why banks might impose this condition. And but if you keep the money lifelong, even after this loan is repaid, then we are not exempting you from deposits. You are into the track of deposits. Please respond if you understood this promoter condition, pa. All of you, my humble request to respond if you understood this promoter condition. Can I get a yes if you understood? Sharanku புரிஞ்சிடுது. So I'm deeming that all of you have understood. Ayyo, Shravan Srinivas is saying it is quite unclear. Ayyo, God. Okay, let's see. Say. Once more, so Shravan and anybody who is not understood, let me take it slowly once more. There is a company. Company will have a promoter. Yes. Who is promoter? We studied, no? Person who is named in the prospectus, who is actively engaged, who conceives the idea, who advises, and board acts in accordance with their advice. Wow, we studied so much. Anyway, founder of the company. Okay. Company needs money. So approaching a bank for loan. Bank is saying, first let your promoter invest, give some loan to the company. Then I will also give a loan. So it's something like the debt equity ratio. Yeah? I want it to be good. Now, not debt equity here, it's a different scenario. So this guy is giving loan. Why I told you? If you're running the business merely with my money, no, I know what you will do. You don't have to go to office. Happily spend and then say insolvent. Worst case. I will have to suffer and I will have to get a pro rata payment. Why I should suffer? You invest, you give loan to the money, you run the business properly. Then I will also give loan. Seriya? It's the condition. Now go and read. Promoter has given unsecured loan to the company because of a stipulation. What stipulation? Bank or the lending institution gave that stipulation. Okay. The loan is brought because of the stipulation. Promoter also lent money to the company. Who can give, promoter or this relative or both of them? Okay. Generally, how it will be because first the company has to repay the loan of the bank. First, the third party will withdraw his money. After that, the promoter has to withdraw. If that is the case, until this time, this money is not treated as deposits. Clear? Now, Shravan Srinivas, have I made it clear? Because my purpose is not to give deposit money in the company. I am giving money in the form of unsecured loan to the company because of this bank is torturing me. He is saying you first give loan, then I will give loan. He is saving his skin. So this is what we call in legal language as substance of the transaction over the form of the transaction. If you just see the form of the transaction, it will appear like promoter is depositing his money with the company, nothing doing. Substance over form of the transaction. If you look into the substance, why he is giving money? Because this bank is saying, you first give loan, then I will give loan. Why bank is saying? To save his skin. I told you, no. Otherwise, it will be like, Tamil proverb, "Ura vitanai and pondati kai." So you will happily, just let loose the money. Okay, so it's clear for Shravan now. We have to go for a break. One more point. Any amount of 25 lakhs or more received by startup company by way of convertible note. So one more exemption. It's a startup company. What is a startup company? You all know this very well. Company which has newly started its business. It means a private company incorporated under the Companies Act and recognized as such in accordance with the notification of industrial policy. See, I worked in many industrial policies, helping clients in finding the locations in industrial uh, estates and all that, so that if they can reach the maximum benefits under the industrial policies. So a company is starting its business and it's a private company. Okay. An amount of 25 lakhs or more received by a startup company by way of a convertible note. How they are getting this money is through the convertible note. Okay. In a single tranche. Now we need to understand what is convertible note and what is single tranche. Convertible into equity shares or repayable within a period not exceeding 5 years. Period. Right? And from the date of issue in a single tranche. I will see how it is. What is this? There are so many things that we are learning new here. First of all, what is a startup company? I told you it's a private company and it has to satisfy all the conditions even under that said notification and by the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion given by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So generally you have annual or periodical industrial policies with giving so many incentives to startup companies. One of the incentives is if they get deposits for 25 lakhs or more through the issue of convertible notes. Now what is convertible notes? Like debenture, it is one debt instrument. Okay. What is the feature of this debt instrument? It is convertible into shares or it has to be repaid within a period not exceeding 5 years. So either you repay it or you make them as your owners. Okay, so for the business to grow, this is an incentive given. Okay, see, I told you deposits means maximum you can keep the money for 36 months. But see, you're given 5 years time. After that, if you want, you can convert happily also. So we don't catch you as deposits. It's an incentive for the startup, right? And how you have to collect this money? Should be a capable company. So if your company, see, I recently heard some of them, came off from a leading software IT company, and then they started their business. So people were just pouring in money, investing money in that company. So in a single shot, single tranche means single shot, you should collect that money. How much? 25 lakhs or more. How? By issue of convertible notes. What is that? These debts you can later convert into shares or you will redeem within 5 years. This is an incentive. It will not be treated as deposits. Okay, and the last entry is very simple. You don't have to concentrate much. Just listen. Alternate investment funds or venture capital funds or infrastructure investment trusts, real estates, mutual funds registered with SEBI. So nothing great here. It is just alternate investments or venture capital funds or infrastructure investment trust. All these things, they are also not treated as deposits. And you have a clarification here. Amount received by private companies prior to April 2014 shall not be treated as deposits, subject to the condition that it is disclosing it at the notes to the financial statements. Okay. However, if you're making any renewal, then it will be covered under this provision. These were all transitional provisions at the time of introducing these rules under 2014. Transition. See, deposits were there under the Erstwhile Companies Act also. So when the new law came in, transition on this. So transition also you can safely ignore. Okay. So 1 hour 45 minutes. Okay, so we have studied the concept of deposits. So I've really taught you extensively. What I'm going to do now is give you a break for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever way. And this break is for you to sit down and go through, and you have a test after the break. I'll give you some test whether these are deposits or not. Okay. Revision break now. Clear?